Hello, guys, gals, people of all ages. My name is Jay, host of the Cashflow Diary podcast, CEO of Cashflow Diary, obviously, and we're going to be talking about Inside the Tank Live. You just watched another episode of Shark Tank. It's episode 6, season 26. We're going to do a quick recap of the show today, and we're going to talk about the deals that were actually done. Today was definitely more interesting than last week, where it seemed like a snoozer. We had the bank vaults were open very wide today, and it was very good to watch that, to see some things, and some of it, honestly, completely unexpected in my case. If you're wondering who I am, what we do, we tend to help a lot of individuals become entrepreneurs, especially in the real estate space, learn to raise capital, go out there, find deals at discounts, and make things happen, to learn to do real estate using none of your own money or credit. That's how we got started, and we just happen to love the Shark Tank show, so we're going to talk about it with you. If you are watching this right now, feel free to go over to cashflowdiary.tv, cashflowdiary.tv, and you can participate in the chat. Ask your questions as we go. Just type them in, and we will catch them and do our best to make sure that you are recognized. So, let's see what we have to talk about today. As usual, we have 4 particular companies to talk about. We've got some neat cheeks, not bad, kind of like it, especially if you have kids. And then we have, what was the name of that thing, that electrical thing? Did it have a name? Yes. It did? Mley connectors? Okay, we're going to talk about that for sure. See, that's a problem already. We had the connector, we had Beneath the Ink, and then Pit Moss today. So we've had 4 different companies to choose from to talk about. We're going to talk about the pitches and what they did right, what they did wrong, and most importantly, prepare you for your opportunity to be on Shark Tank if you just keep paying attention. So what do we have first? We've got Neat Cheeks. That's $150,000 for 20%. Let's see, that was, what was it, Julia and, was it Daniela? I don't remember. Sure? Okay, excellent. I just know one was Julia for sure. Anyway, a flavored face wipe. Go figure. I mean, I go through 4 children wiping noses and snot, and we've all seen the kids like turn their head and hate that cold, because first of all, it's cold, and that alcohol filled, like, don't touch me with that. What a genius idea. It just makes sense. Let's just put flavors on it. Okay, it's kind of like the whole cough syrup thing. I don't want to take cough syrup, make it taste like bubble gum, and they can't have enough, and it's all good. So, interesting things. They are patent pending, and they've been in business for 4 years, and that's actually interesting as well as telling, in my opinion, in this particular case. So, they are in Walgreens. Good job there. I'd love to buy a Walgreens. That's definitely something I'm looking forward to. They've done a 90-day test. They've had reorders. This is great. They're currently paying 72 cents each retail for $4, and they think they can get their costs down, and that's very, very interesting. Now, $4,000 a year in sales. That's not good. That's just not good. It's like, okay, great. Now, I'm guessing after today, after the episode, hopefully they had a website set up, because as you guys know, it's like once you get your product there, if you at least got some sort of a website and an order process of some kind, you're probably going to get a few sales, even if you don't get a deal. $90,000 to $100,000 this year, based upon primarily, I'm assuming, distribution through Walgreens and the 40 locations, which I think is great. What they're looking for is the $150,000. Now, I don't know if you were paying attention. A couple of things that I noticed is, one, when they were asked for what they were going to use the money for, and specifically the risk of the patent. Here's the thing. One of the things that we've always got to think about is that quote-unquote competition. And once there's somebody who's come before you, there will likely be people who come after you. And anytime you have a high-margin product or something that's new that could work very, very well, anyone who already has the infrastructure in place, technically in some cases, has a head start on you. And that's exactly what I believe Kevin, Mr. Wonderful, was concerned about. He was like, look, as soon as you go tell all of these people, that's the double-edged sword to marketing. You got to tell everybody that you're in business, but you're also telling everybody that you're in business, which now means their eyes are going to be looking at you saying, hey, how are they? What are they? What's so special? What can we glean from them that they're doing right and add to our system? That's, in some instances, that's just good business. This is what you do. See, in school, they call it cheating. Here, we call it great business. And we go out there and we make things happen. So it's something that you got to always remember to protect yourself from. You got a great idea. Just understand that's one of those things you've got to just be aware of. Now, you obviously, we have ways to protect yourselves against that, and that's why the patent, but it was patent pending, not done. And that's what scares off some people, is because it wasn't done. Now, on the flip side of that, we've got the whole, what was it? Well, I said the other thing. I just said it. My notes are... Oh, you had to tell everybody the scale, the reorder, $4,000. Oh, that's right. The reason they needed the money. Not a good answer, as you heard from Robert. He's like, yeah, we need money because we need to eat. You, to some degree, you've heard the stories of entrepreneurs sleeping on the floor and sacrificing couches and staying in other people's houses to make their dreams come true. There's something about that is just kind of what it is. And, getting the buy-in from friends and family to just, work out of the garage, do whatever you've got to do until you quote unquote make it. And then you actually get to eat real food again, no more top ramen. So just keep that in mind. just keep that in mind, because that was very telling. I thought it was interesting. I actually thought once those words came out of their mouth that it was going to be dead. I did not expect a deal to actually happen once that's said. Now, as you guys saw, just like I did, Cuban, no offer. Robert, no offer. Kevin, no offer. So all the guys said no. The ladies, however, decided to fight for it a little bit. That was pretty interesting to watch that go back and forth, how they were fighting for their communities of entrepreneurs, and mine is better than yours. And I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know if you got a little kick out of that. That should have been like hashtag catfight. It was pretty funny to me. Nonetheless, here's the point. When I'm looking at the two offers, they're not totally different, and they did a great job of getting what they were concerned about released in terms of contingencies, etc. And Barbara, I think, was straight on. She's like, hey, can that be made in cherry? Absolutely. Lori was like, I want it to be contingent upon the patent, but then that went away. And 25% is kind of where it landed. The interesting thing is who they chose to go with. It's just interesting to me, in a very serious way. So when it comes down to the issue of this whole business was missing a very vital component, and it seemed to be a theme today for most of the businesses. They were missing sales. That's right, but the sales are a result of awareness. So you start telling people that, hey, you're here. You have a shot at people. You got to put yourself in a position to actually win. If nobody knows you're in business, that doesn't mean your product doesn't work. It just means you haven't told them and given us a shot at being able to purchase it. So by virtue of being on the show, that helps. That's one way of doing it. And the ladies did not seem to me to be the marketing and salespeople that they needed to be to drive the product. Yeah, they got it into a store and they were going a roundabout way, but I don't know. I didn't hear an Amazon. Hey, we're on Amazon. That seems like a simple play, especially for what they have and who they are. And there's tons of Amazon buyers everywhere. Do you know how many reviews? And they could totally build a quote unquote community around this flavored, wipes. Moms are nuts about their little babies, especially the first time moms, right? Cherry. Anyway, you get my point. So just remember. Learn some marketing, learn some sales. I'm glad they got an offer. I do think they got the wrong shark, just, between you and me and everyone else watching on YouTube. I think they got the wrong shark. I would have went with Lori, hands down, on this particular one. She seemed to be the one. I'm thinking distribution. I'm thinking QVC. I'm thinking get my product out to market fast because I need a ton of sales. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure Barbara's great at building sales organizations. She said that before. I know that was one of the things that I was just thinking. All right, I see in the chat room, Manny is asking, what should they have said? Well, what should they have said? I mean, there's nothing wrong with what they said. What they said was the truth. It's just you don't want to be in that position. You want to do everything you can to put the money elsewhere. You don't need to be thinking, you don't want to think like an employee. You want to think, how many more units can I sell? How many more? That's where I'm going to derive my income from, is the cash flow of the business. So like that extra $100,000, that's like 66%. That's 2/3 of what they were asking for is going to salary. No, that needs to be into marketing. Hello, and go come up with a marketing plan that'll produce the extra. And what's really interesting is what I see Josh talking about is $4,000 in sales. $4,000 in sales, and they're in Walgreens? Like, did you get stuck under the counter? What am I missing? You know, it's kind of hard. How do you not sell? And I'm willing to bet they don't have a proper display. I'm willing to bet they don't have prime placement. I don't even know. How did they even sell the 4,000 is actually kind of amazing to me. Like, and they said they were in business for two years, $4,000. How many of you would have continued? How many?
4 years.
Oh, it was 4 years.
4 years.
Okay, that's even worse. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all about perseverance, but I'm also about like let's get a sale in the door. Maybe I'm missing something, but why does it take 4 years to get that's $1,000 a year. Woo. Now, don't get me wrong. They're probably going to do fine from here on out, and they'll get paid for it. But man, those were all the warning signs, in my opinion, that had me concerned.
Well, I mean, I think that the only thing they had going for them was that patent pending thing. If they didn't have that, they would have had zero. They would have had absolutely zero anything.
True.
And I think that, I mean, yeah, it's $4,000 in sales. They've been doing it for 4 years. They're taking $150,000. $100 of it is for salaries. They did almost everything wrong, and they still got close to their asking price. They still got an evaluation of $600,000.
Yep, $600,000.
And they have $4,000 in sales. So that's
it's a reason to be in the USA.
You know, it's 150 times sales.
Yeah, got it.
That's a little bit off.
That's
right?
pretty nice.
You know, and that's after 4 years of being in business.
Hey, sounds great to me. Here's the point with what if you're listening to what Jacob's talking about, when you're wondering what the value of an idea is. See, an idea has value. A protected idea has immense more value, because that's literally what they're buying is a protected idea. Now, the proof of concept of, i.e., having a baby wipe has already been proven. What's different is that it's flavored. So that's cool. The interesting thing to note in this particular case is simply protecting the idea suddenly. Now, oh, well, at least you've done that work, so let me buy in on that. We'll teach you the rest. And again, I think this is a licensing play personally. Hey, let's get the patent done, and then let's call the people who are already making baby wipes and let them license that from us, and we sit back, collect a check, and come up with a new idea or something of that nature. That's how I see this one running. So it is what it is. Johnson & Johnson could take it and kill them if that's exactly right, Josh. You got it, 100%. But instead of that, I license it to Johnson & Johnson and be done. Don't try to make your own wipe from scratch. No, don't go through the packaging process, the colors and all the stuff that you're going to have to deal with. Just please license it, ladies. I'm sure Barbara's thinking something like that, or maybe not. I don't really know. You're in good hands, though. You got somebody on your side.
Yeah, I don't know why Barbara was all into the cherry. I don't know what he was.
I don't know where she was going with the cherry
either.
And
I think it's
a great idea.
But how are you're going to patent flavored wipes in general? So every flavor is all yours. So chocolate.
When we go to Walgreens next and see it, I will know.
Lemon. Every wipe that has a candy flavor to it is patented by them.
Let me get coconut. Ugh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Vanilla wipes, everything, right? They're all theirs. So.
I know, right? Oh, mommy, you have any strawberry? They're gonna make a Neapolitan one. That'd be funny. Anyway, what would I have offered? I would have. I don't know that I could have even come to a $600,000 valuation. Oh, speaking of which, let's do the math so that people can see. So they ended up accepting, was it 150,000 for 25%? So if you're ever wondering how to calculate this stuff, what you're going to do is you're going to pull out your handy calculator like so. You're going to take the 150,000, divide it by the percentage. There you go. Boom, 600,000. That's how we get the number. So you could buy 100% of this company today for 600,000 if you wanted it. And what they got was 150,000 for 25%. So now you know how that number always gets thrown out there. Next time you see it in a headline somewhere, you can figure that out. So I don't know that I could have seen $600,000 in any way, shape, or form. That was really hard for me. Maybe okay. So if they were planning on using 50,000 for actually the business, then my offer is going to be around, I don't know, 50,000 is what we're going to go for. I couldn't see that much value in the patent that's pending. A patent that's issued, yeah, maybe. So that's kind of where I would have been. Would I have taken any of the offers? Sure, but I would have taken Lori's in this case because I think Lori was the better partner. Higher energy, definitely the one maybe I just would prefer to work with Lori. Even though Barbara's the real estate lady, right? Maybe I just want to work with Lori. I don't know. Would I have made a counter offer? I think they didn't they? No, they didn't. They didn't have to because the ladies started fighting over it. That's right. That's what happened there. So there was no need for them to really. I mean, I think they just made out like a bandit. They did a great job. How would I have done it different? I would have figured out a way to come up with a better marketing and sales plan because that's definitely there. What questions would I have asked? I wanted to know what's beyond Walgreens. What questions were asked poorly or answered poorly. What are you going to do with the money? What are you going to do with the money? Manny says it's a good idea until the toddler eats the wipe. Well, you never know. I know, right? Somebody that's going to be a cheeseburger flavored.
Now they have to have an edible wipe, right? It's got to be edible,
right.
biodegradable wipe.
Right. So they're going to have that label.
Wipe it off, and then they can eat the food and the wipe itself.
Oh, that's
my next idea.
Here
edible
it comes.
Wipes.
Here it comes. It's biodegradable, edible. It's a meal and a wipe at the same time. Okay, yeah. Now we're going to have to heat them up in the microwave? All right. Mley connectors was the next one. When they said 500,000 for 5%, I just was like, huh? What? Okay, let's go. Let's see what this is because it just got my attention. And, the name, all right, it's a little, name. Anyway, don't do that. Name your product something other than after yourself. Industrial market connector, safer and easier. Fortunately, they had something that the rest of these businesses did not have all night or had trouble with. And we're going to talk about it for sure. But they had proof of concept because they brought the customer, the guy who would actually use it, there to really, really sell it. Nobody in this company that came on the show was a salesperson. Like none. And I was like, wow, this is rough going. So they had a sales order for $585,000. That's great. Costs $15,000, wholesale $39,000. I think that cost is a little bit much for where they're coming from there. And they've had meetings with Home Depot and Lowe's. That's wonderful. But they still need a salesperson. They don't have a salesperson. In fact, you heard that when I think some of the messages were, your marketing message was confusing, and I want to know how you're going to sell it. That's exactly the problem. Oftentimes, if you are the technician, the person who is closest to the product, the inventor, you understand it left and right, and you get your thing. That's wonderful. But you're probably not the salesperson. What's the name of that book? Michael Gerber, E-Myth. E-Myth Revisited talks about this a lot. And for those of you, if you're in the entrepreneur or real estate entrepreneur space, those of you who know how to do the fixing and the flipping and the holding of the hammers, you got to get away from that. that you still obviously have to have that stuff done, but you don't want to be that technician. You want to be the guy or gal, the coach or the general manager calling the plays. You don't necessarily need to be on the field running the plays. You've got to learn to elevate your game to that level. Quite honestly, when I saw the offers come, I'm like, it made sense to me, even though I know nothing about the product or industrial sales. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess this is a product for cities and governments and really big, long sales cycle stuff. Sounds great. I have no idea how to get it out to market, but you guys are not the ones to do it. That's the one thing I saw there. And you heard Mark say it himself. It was a FOMO investment. I thought that was funny. I'd never heard that. Fear of missing out, period. Now, proof positive that Mark Cuban has fear. He was afraid of missing out. Fear of loss, powerful tactic. In this case, it was $4.2 million strong because he offered them $500,000 for 12% with an option because he wanted to put in another $1 million at a $15 million valuation. He wanted that option if everything goes well. So get this. He bought in at 4.2 and he's willing to rebuy in at 15 million. Good night. Are you kidding me? Now that is insanity. Now, if you do the math properly, I'm sure his cost basis is still going to be his original because the profit he'll make from the $4.2 million valuation to the $15 million valuation will pay for the additional $1 million. So he's pretty much just giving them the $1 million back that he would have otherwise received. But the point is he saw it. Even though it was, nobody probably knows how to sell it, he saw it. And that's all that mattered. Sometimes you cast a net wide enough, enough of the right people will see it and give you the opportunity. They're just like, you know what, makes sense, kind of, sort of. I believe people are going to want it. It did look easier. It did look faster. It clearly wasn't a QVC product. And I don't see it being licensed in any way, shape, or form. It had to be demonstrated, and only if you are that electrician do you go, yeah, give me like 200 of those, please. Because those are the only people who even understand how to use it, and who knows.
Yeah, this was another pretty horrible display of their product. But they had, once again, they had one thing going for them, and that was that guy who was that technician for 30 years.
Proof of concept.
And if he wasn't in there, there was absolutely nothing.
He said, "Oh boy,
oh boy, like 3 times."
Oh boy.
And they would never move forward with anything. He never got an offer.
Nope.
And Mark wouldn't have had any confidence enough to even make an offer that good. And I'm surprised that he offered them that good of an evaluation. I would have thought that he would have asked like 25% or more because they have one pending sales order.
Right.
That's it.
Well, and again, I think that part's the case of, again, we saw 8 minutes of what was probably a 30 to 45 minute conversation, or in those guys' time, possibly an hour, because they're like, what is it? Help us understand. And I'm guessing they had a conversation at some point of who owns what and how much equity, etc. So he had to make an offer that was reasonable, because if you were paying attention, he whispered to the other guy that you were going to have to reduce your equity a little bit, and that type of thing. The CEO whispered to the other guy, and he's like, okay, great, whatever. And they decided to do the deal. I think they need the help. And who knows, a city government official, someone in Home Depot or Lowe's is probably kicking themselves right now going, oh my God, we didn't get that. Great. Now we're going to have to pay more for it. Yep, pretty much. That's where it's going. That's where it's going. So what would I have offered? I have no idea, because this is an industrial stuff, and you guys know me. I'm not the industrial kind of guy. Would I have taken the offer? Absolutely. Made a counter offer. I don't think they weren't in a position to. They didn't have any leverage whatsoever, and I think they barely got that one. And I think Mark's the only one who could have written that check anyway, with any sort of like, okay, if it goes bad, it's no big deal. How would I have done it differently? Bring somebody that knows how to sell people. I mean, you've done the work to finally get on the show. Do not mess it up because you think because I know the product best, therefore, no, you've got to demonstrate POC. And if as you heard Jacob talk about, if they didn't have that electrician, that linesman there to demonstrate POC, no deal. because there's no way any of us, I couldn't see it. I didn't understand it. I'm like, you got to do all that work for what reason?
Yeah.
And
He not only was he there to demonstrate it, but
he put the money in?
He flipped out $50,000 of his own money to be part of it, which made a big statement to the other sharks.
Yep. He's like, I don't know much, but I know that this is good. I know nothing else about business, but that 50, hey.
He had the hilarious thing. He's like, I don't trust these guys at all. I trust this thing right here.
That was hilarious. Why do you trust them? I don't. You see this, though? This is good. That was true candor, total hilarity. I'm like, wow, all right. Well, there it is. Sometimes hey, the product's that good, so to speak. The product's that good. I don't know how to sell it, but I'm telling you, if we get this in front of the right people, it's going to be great. So what questions would I have asked? I want to know how they were going to sell that sucker, to who and for what reason and how much more. What questions were answered poorly? Nearly every one of them. But, hey, they're the ones who got the deal, not me, right? So it doesn't really matter. I do know that they're going to win an award later tonight for one of our awards that we love to give away. Hire a sales guy versus hire an outside sales company. If you're going to be in the tank, you gotta have a salesperson, Josh. Somebody's got to sell the product, cast the vision, show me how we're going to, as Kevin O'Leary would say, make money. That's how he always does it. Because hey, I didn't even know that such a device existed, let alone the fact it made it sound like they had different sizes. I don't know if they have got different colors. It was complex, like 12 probably thousand SKUs. Who knows? It's like trying to sell screws.
Yeah.
They
came out unfocused whatsoever. They had retail, commercial, this industry, that
it was
industry.
A mess.
Yeah, too much going on.
It was a mess. But they got a deal. Congratulations, gentlemen. I'm glad you went out there. Everybody's probably happy, toasting, great tonight. Just do whatever the shark says, and I'm sure you'll be fine. All right. Beneath the ink. Wow. $350,000 for a 10% stake in the business. As we now know, that's $3.5 million. Yeah. So let's call it fancy annotations. That's what we're going to call it, because I don't know what else to call it. So you got context to ebooks. They called them Binks. Neat. They got a new name. Maybe that's going to be a new trademark one day. Text, maps, images. Makes e-reading better, but I've got to rebuy the book in a completely different way. And you're putting the burden on the owner or author in some way, shape, or form. And I found it interesting in this particular one that they were like, well, do you know how many books are being self-published? Do you know how many books are being self-published? Well, having self-published a book, I also happen to know that the average self-published author sells less than 200 copies. 200! Like, wow. Okay. I don't have enough people to actually get the leverage to actually make. Why do I want to go through the extra work? And I think, this is almost like a new e-publishing platform in and of itself. And that's what I was like, man, I think it's a great idea. It's big. I just don't know that they're the team to execute it, but maybe they are. They'll prove us wrong. Sharice and Alex don't email me like, you don't know me. You're right. I don't know you. I'm just saying it just seemed like it's going to be huge. Personally, if you're watching this, license to Adobe if they'll take it. To somebody who's already publishing ebooks, who already has an established ebook format, license to them. Yeah, they had a great cost. They have already raised some money. That's wonderful. Only 8 titles, though. That's going to be a challenge. And as we all saw, the challenges were kind of self-evident. No offers at all. Even from the technology guys, Mark and Robert, no offers whatsoever.
Yeah, I think this one comes down to them being in business for 2 years and only having 8 titles. And did they have any sales? They even talk about they said
pre-revenue. That's the fancy word.
Sales.
That means no money.
So they had 0 sales and 8 titles, and they've been doing it for 2 years.
Right. It's kind of like this show. It's pre-revenue.
Yeah, it's pre-revenue. So you're talking not a lot of effort. I mean, though I could do 8 titles by myself,
right,
in less than 2 years,
right,
doing that. I mean, it doesn't. They just didn't do anything.
Right. You know what I'm thinking though? I just had an idea. I wonder if that would, I mean, because see, I'm thinking about like my kids. My kids love, like we'll read the Bible to them and it's got interactive stuff in it. And I'm like, what's the difference really between what they're doing and all the kids books that are now coming out on the iPad and mobile devices? I mean, that's way more, I mean, and I can get those for 99 cents and I don't have to, I mean, I don't know what they have to go through to make it, but it's, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just
those kind of interactive books are very popular for kids books. But
so maybe this is the kids' book.
But
thing.
they are selling at a different price. They're selling more like an app, which is like $1 or $2 versus $10 or $15 for a real book. And they're also much shorter. Probably
Maybe
20, 30 pages.
Maybe it's textbooks.
I mean, there's a lot of things that they could do, but the big hindrance was A, no sales, B, 8 titles, and C, no proprietary thing. Like, it's not proprietary. Nothing they did was patented, proprietary, or anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't
or
mind
automated.
it. But okay, so we'll take my book for example. You got the same technology with Apple's iBooks. There is no difference, at least maybe I'm missing it, maybe there is, but I don't think there's a difference between what they're doing in Apple's iBooks. It's the same stuff. And we see how well iBooks have done.
Yeah, I mean, even iBook, even Apple themselves.
Like,
iBook's
if Apple
kinda
can't do it, like,
not really,
really?
not really that big of a deal.
I don't know. Anyway, so what would I have offered? Nothing. Would I have taken any offer if they got one? Would I have made a counter offer? No, because you probably wouldn't have had but one offer. How would I have done it differently? I just think their idea is too huge. Scale it down. Find a simpler model. Find something. I mean, they don't even know how they're going to make money yet because they're pre-revenue. That sounds funny. We're pre-revenue. That's Silicon Valley speak for we haven't made any money yet. What questions would I have asked? How were you going to make money? What questions were answered poorly? How to make money?
Well, they had the most, almost overly polished presentation.
That's Silicon Valley style, my friend. That ain't street.
But
That's what they do.
I'm wondering what the people that invested the $640,000 thought now. Like the people that were like, we're going to be on Shark Tank. Let's watch this. Can I get my money back? Or
no 30-day return policy.
it's been a couple years. Gosh, you burnt through this already, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did we make $1 yet?
Yeah. No, that's the thing.
They couldn't even sell it.
Sell it.
Like, okay.
Again, no salesperson.
Well, not even that. Okay, they're on Shark Tank, right?
Right.
Okay.
They don't even have anything to sell.
How do they sell now? Like, I'm looking for their stuff. How would I buy it?
I don't know.
Right?
You can't.
You can't. I got 8 titles to choose from?
Yes.
That's not. I can buy all 8 of them for okay. You made $100 off me. That's the
Woo!
best. You can, that's the best you could do.
I know, right? You're telling me like I don't. I'm saying they for lack of a better way of putting it, they screwed the pooch tonight. It was pretty bad. There was nothing good about what they had there. Oh well, you live, you learn. Hopefully, you learned something today. So let's talk about this next one. Notice how we're having the same thing. Again, remember, Beneath the Ink suffered from the same thing that we were talking about. POC, no proof of concept. This is one of the reasons you got to love real estate, is because the proof of concept is just right there. It takes no stretch of the imagination to go, hey, will people live, work, or play inside of real estate? Well, duh, yes. All right, pit moss, let's go for it. Yeah, a replacement for peat moss. Okay, cool, green, sustainable, cheaper, recyclable, all the right things. How many green alternatives do you know of that are actually cheaper than the what's commonly being used? I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. $600,000 for 25% is what he was seeking. And let's keep going. So, like you said, 15 to 20% cheaper. $22,000 of sales in 7 months. That's not good. 168,000 of outstanding orders, mostly because he just can't fill it. That's a good thing. Commercial growers first. Notice how he had a priority to what he was going to do. He's going to take down the marketplace. It was clear. We understood what he was after. 400,000 raised from some angel investors, and he currently had 70%, and he ended up in a very interesting situation, in my opinion.
The 400,000 was going to happen.
Oh, is that right?
That's the one that he was talking about at the end, where he's like, 400,000 is going to be in 2 days. I'm going to meet with these guys for 400,000.
Ain't meeting with them anymore. Mark Cuban. You got so the ladies were no offer, but the guys got together and said, let's do this thing. And then they eventually got around to 35% for $600,000, and he got Mark, Robert, and Kevin. I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer on every stretch of the imagination. I mean, your product has just been put in front of a few million people, and you just got 3 sharks in one deal. I can't see, and they're going to focus on is how to just sell more of it. I mean, he needs larger, obviously, manufacturing and then selling. Again, I still think this is a licensing play, but whatever, I just have this aversion to making anything. That's just me. So that's what it comes down to.
I mean, Mark was questioning him before he made his offer about, okay, how much would it cost to make another plant? And it was $240,000 for 2 plants going at the same time that would produce $3.2 million in product per year.
Right.
And so
Makes
he
sense.
understood that, okay, he only sold 22,000 because he said, I mean, the girls didn't, I mean, they must have glanced over that, but he said, I have $168,000 in orders already.
Yeah,
I
I
can't.
heard it.
So the girls were like, well, you only sold 22,000.
Yeah, they did both say that.
No, I didn't. I sold $188,000 or $190,000. I can't fulfill these other orders.
Right.
The girls just didn't want in. They didn't know what they were talking about. I think the guys were like, kind of looking at each other like,
Yeah. I saw Mark.
who's going to jump on it first? Because
Yeah.
I think I'm going to want this because they see the potential.
Right.
And especially when he said afterwards that, oh yeah, that peat moss, which everyone is using right now, which is more expensive and not as good as my product, is being banned.
Yeah.
In the UK and other countries, and everyone's like,
yeah.
And he has a trade secret that works, and yeah, why not jump on this?
He's got an exportable product that's really cool. He can create jobs in multiple countries and change the landscape of something if it gets out there enough. Again, just like many of the other entrepreneurs tonight, suffers from a lack of marketing and sales. However, he at least had more of himself together, an understanding of what he was doing. He was clear. His vision was clear. With clarity, write this down if you're taking notes. Clarity leads to power, the power to do 2 things, decide and act. And he was clear about those things. Now, I hope the Angels aren't mad, but nonetheless, you've got Mark, Robert, and Kevin. It would have been it's really hard to say no to that. I don't see how you say no to that at any valuation.
Well, I mean, he didn't say definitely that he would say no on camera. He said, I would probably say no.
Yeah, I heard the probably too.
So I'm sure he said no after this, but because he doesn't need that money, because Mark or Robert or Kevin could probably produce whatever money he needs. Yeah. But I think he was very excited. I mean, I would be too.
Yeah, no doubt. Nothing but reasons to be excited. So, what would I have offered? I like the deal that they got, so it's pretty good there. Would I have taken the offer? Absolutely. The intellectual capacity between those 3 gentlemen, let alone their networks, I'm in. Would I have made a counteroffer? Nah, pretty happy with what they did. How would I have done it different? I would have wanted to understand a little bit more of the economics of the size of the marketplace, so that's also the questions I would have asked. What questions were answered poorly? I don't remember writing down any notes, but again, he, like the Michael Gerber situation I said earlier, he's also the technician. The inventor is often not the person who should be selling it. And you can see a lot of this. Like if you look at some of these software companies that are out today, there are a lot of software companies that were a bunch of engineers who got together, had a great idea, solved the problem, but they're a bunch of engineers, and all of a sudden they try to sell it, and it's just like, yeah, you're clearly an engineer, not a salesperson. When you hear the sales pitch or when you hear them talk, and you're just like, or here's another way of saying it. You ever had an audiobook read by the author and you're like, oh God, I wish he didn't? That type of thing. Sometimes it just pays to have the right presentation. Presentation can become hyper important in many, many different situations. Josh has a question. He said, he says he took offers, then played the take it back play when he mentioned the Angels. I like how he used the fear of loss. Again, fear of missing out is powerful. Mark's checkbook was open today for sure. He spent a ton of money, which is awesome to see that type of investment is out there. So see, if you gain nothing from watching Shark Tank, you should gain the confidence that any idea, even something as simple as a flavored napkin, okay, will work somewhere. So your ideas are valid. Your ideas are good. You just got to understand and go out there and make it happen. So as we wrap it up today, best offer of the night, clearly we're going to go to the Mley connector. Worst name for the product tonight, clearly we're going right back to the Mley connector. Worst deal of the night, I really think it was the flavored meat cheeks, because I just think they paid too much, but whatever, wasn't my money. So I'm happy that entrepreneurism, is that a word? It is today, is out there, is alive. So hopefully you enjoyed it here. Again, next time, feel free to go over to cashflowdiary.com so that you can participate in the chat as well. Look forward to talking to all of you guys soon. Now, if you want to catch up on some interviews that we do with lots of entrepreneurs across the world, you can go over to cashflowdiarypodcast.com, cashflowdiarypodcast.com. We have literally hundreds of episodes there for you to listen to, and you can get more ideas about how to create cash flow, make your business happen. That's what we're here to help you guys do, and it's very, very exciting. Thanks for taking the time to be here. I've had fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.